Promise I can help him get home and then you'll never see me again.
You're assuming he as a pronoun.
True. Yes, sorry, good point. Are you he or she or they?
Something a male-presenting Time Lord will never understand.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
In 2025, Doctor Who has found itself to be in a bit of a pickle, and that pickle being, well, people just don't care about Doctor Who anymore because there has been so much brand damage over, I guess, the last decade at this point, that people have simply given up on the franchise. And the only reason why we have Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor Who to begin with is because Disney went and funded it for 2 seasons, and that's probably all you're gonna get. You see, Disney is not exactly happy with the performance of the latest run of Doctor Who, which means that they're certainly not going to go and fund a 3rd season if season 2 doesn't go and perform, and it's probably going to be lower than season 1. Which has led to rumors of the series pending cancellation, and for those of you who have been paying attention, this should not come as a surprise. Exterminate! Doctor Who faces axe as lead star Ncuti Gatwa quits amid woeful ratings and fan fury at woke storylines. Now, it is worth pointing out that so far all of this is merely just rumor, but in reality it's probably going to get canceled. Doctor Who faces the axe with star Ncuti Gatwa poised to quit and crew claims to be laid off. The recent series suffered abysmal ratings, with fans outraged by the BBC's shoehorning wokery into storylines. The woke fuckery started in Peter Capaldi's run, and it's continued to get worse with Jodie Whittaker and ultimately Ncuti Gatwa's, which is basically the bottom of the barrel at this point. Bosses have postponed any decision until Ncuti Gatwa Season 2 has aired later this year. But the Scot, 32, is he really a Scot? Just throwing that out there. Is already believed to have filmed his regeneration exit scene, and the crew fear the BBC will shelve the show after 62 years. Now, it is worth pointing out that Doctor Who has been shelved in the past, back in '89. Of course, we did have Doctor Who the movie in 1996, but in reality, Doctor Who didn't truly return till 2005 with Christopher Eccleston. And the series getting shelved is probably for the best. An insider said Ncuti Gatwa doesn't want to be tied to the series beyond this and plans to relocate to Los Angeles with several Hollywood projects standing by for him. His team also sees a lot of fan backlash from the series and don't want the perception of him still being the Doctor to get in the way of any future work. The fact that Ncuti Gatwa wants to go and leave Doctor Who behind and just move on to Hollywood and continue on with his career is probably the best thing for Doctor Who at this point. Because this basically gives everybody a chance to go and just move on with their lives as well and just forget about Doctor Who. It's dead. It is dead at this point. It's not coming back anytime soon. The show has been poorly managed in recent years. I would say that is the understatement of the year. And there's a lot of people who have been working on the show for years and now being cast aside due to poor leadership. Poor leadership leads to poor decision making and ultimately poor ratings and the death of your show. People warned some episodes were getting too caught up in an agenda rather than telling a story, and those people got shouted down, ignored. And ultimately, herein lies the problem. Most people don't want to be lectured. When they come home from work, they've had a hard day, they want to go and sit down in front of the television and watch some escapist entertainment. Instead, people are getting lectures on critical race theory, critical gender theory, and critical queer theory, which is stuff that people just don't give a shit about. And for the people that go and point this out that work in the industry, well, they end up getting relegated to the bin. And ultimately, this is the problem because Hollywood's been too busy sniffing its own farts and have divorced itself from reality. In Ncuti Gatwa's first series, which began last May, attracted between 2.25 million and 3.18 million viewers, a tiny fraction of what it used to pull in. Controversy over the storyline had ramped up since 2023 when Russell T Davies returned as the showrunner. And here's just a reminder that ultimately Russell T Davies just wants to go and indoctrinate your children.
And that's a new future. That goes beyond words, beyond definitions. And it is important. I think that visibility thing, I said before, is like, as you were saying, if you grow up seeing this stuff, homophobia and transphobia happens when it's something you've never seen before. You can temper that reaction and change it if you introduce these images to people happily and normally and calmly when they're young. Then it just becomes normal. It is normal. I don't need to say it's normal, but that normality just becomes part of your world. You don't stress, you don't freak, you don't react, you haven't lost anything, you don't hate anything. It's a better world.
No, Russell, I'm sorry. It's not normal. And there's nothing wrong with that. Something that is not normal doesn't mean it's inherently bad, and this is what these people believe. It's the reason why they want to make it normal. But the more you go and force this on people, the more you're going to get an adverse reaction to it. However, viewing figures were still up 2 million on the episodes to come under Ncuti Gatwa, accompanied by new companion Ruby Sunday, played by Millie Gibson. The first full series plot slams everything from capitalism to Christianity and introduced a new enemy played by a drag queen. Riveting television. A huge question mark also hangs over whether Disney will renew its deal, said to be worth £100 million with the BBC. With the release of the new series and the fact that, well, it just wasn't going over very well, there was rumors abound that Disney really didn't have any plans to renew the season past 2, which they were contractually obligated to go and do. Now, this article came out July of 2024 from Deadline. Following the conclusion of the first Disney BBC Doctor Who season several weeks ago, Deadline has taken the opportunity to analyze its performance both locally and across the pond, its critical reception, and just what the future has in store for the deal. Noises that it may not last beyond its initial 2 seasons are already reverberating around international TV circles. And one source close to production tells us that they feel its future hangs in the balance already. Disney, the BBC, and co-producer BBC Studios and Bad Wolf all declined Deadline's interview request for this article. This tells you everything you need to know right there. This show is cooked. And as to be expected, the BBC has gone and denied any allegations that the show has been shelved. A spokeswoman for the show said Doctor Who has not been shelved. As we have previously stated, the decision on Season 3 will be made after Season 2 airs. I think it's pretty unlikely that Disney goes and pulls off some sort of miracle that makes Season 2 a success. They have to go and really think about what they're going to do and do some massive course corrections, and even then there's no guarantee that the audience is going to go and come back. Doctor Who is cooked. And the BBC has nobody but to blame but themselves. But odds are when they do go and shelve this series, they'll probably just go and blame the fans for being racist and homophobic and blah, 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 the usual stuff. They're not going to go and take responsibility for their own failures. Anyway, folks, this is my take. What is yours? Do you think that Doctor Who is going to survive past Season 2 from Disney? I don't think it is. I think it's going to get shelved, and you're probably not going to see anything for another 10 years or so. And that's probably for the best. Hopefully, entertainment will be a lot more sane by then, but you never can tell. If you enjoyed this video, go and make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll catch you next time, folks.